While we are collecting literal buckets full of gold, we're gonna need this times 1,000. So we've got a lot of work to do. I want a literal mountain of gold. Just need to make the absurdly fun drive into town. And why do we have a bucket of iron with us? We're not gonna be needing this anymore. Now to go find a nice piece of land to build a massive hole in. This seems to have the girth we all know and love. Now we just need to make a hole. And the quickest way to do that, believe it or not, is with all this stuff. And luckily I've been collecting some assorted stuff this entire time.
So we just need to do a little bit of high effort grinding.
And 10 Harry Potters later, we get a modest 2.25 million pounds of gold. Now I've just got to do the same with the rest of the garbage. And we're also going to need to do a little math, which apparently I'm not very good at because I don't know how we ended up with 5. Anyways, now that we've got enough gold to give King Midas an erection, back to the store, where I've realized I can currently only get the tier 2 shop because I don't have corstone. I'm also missing a lot of brain cells, and since we need corstone to make basically everything, we're gonna work with TNT in our hands for now. Now we gotta find how deep we can go before it starts to hurt. As it turns out, pretty deep. And then he realized there's a much easier way of doing this. Step number 1 is to get hopelessly lost in the fog. Step number 2, ride the boat. Step number 3, buy a lava tank, which is basically Batman's car if he were an arsonist. But oh boy, I can't wait to get this back and drive it all the way across the island.
It's going so fast it's hard to see the scenery.
I've never been so happy to see a barren piece of land in all my life. It feels just like home. Now I'm going to be honest with you, I struggle to use so much as a microwave, so this is going to be an experience for both of us. Okay, I see they actually made it pretty dummy proof. You tell it to dig down and it digs down. It's actually not the worst hole I've ever dug. Pretty sure we've got the depth we need, now we just need to set up an entire mining operation. And I'd wager the best way to do that is going to be to cannibalize this little operation. So as long as I manage to grab mostly one of everything, we're going to have what we need. And here it is, isn't it beautiful? And there's a reason I made this a truck-sized hole. I've also cleverly realized we weren't really that deep, so I hit the ground with my tier 2 pickaxe and it mines the ground, which means we need to go deeper to find the better ore. So Arsonist Batman needs an upgrade. And I will never say no to upgrading an instrument that's used to light things on fire. I had to watch better YouTubers to figure out where to actually put this on. It turns out you just drop it on there like a magnet. So then I realized if you get a second one here, you can go even deeper, but that's at the tier 3 shop. Or you can just cheat like me and go like that. Double the power for double the fun. But because I have a way of ruining everything ever, I'm going to go down to tier 2 for now, just in case that's the limit of what we can mine. It would be a real shame to mine out all the tier 2 dirt, only to find out it's what we have to mine. Now it's time to go through the colossal effort of setting up a mine. I'm going to take an especially stupid gamble at this point and hope that if I set these on top of what I think is a tier 3 dirt, that's going to work. Also, normally these are hard to get, so I'm going to have to do a lot of grinding to get more. So these guys should all be mining, they'll send those stuff along the conveyors and to somewhere else. And I was pretty close with my initial estimate of where I needed to send this thing, but we got more flamethrowing to do. And as per usual, I've made a flawless, seamless, efficient operation so far. As per usual, a completely necessary conveyor system. Probably need to make a little extra room for the plumbing. Now we gotta bring the spicy water over. And finally my mulcher is ready to go. Now I just need to actually produce water and bring it all the way down to these guys. This is where I'm gonna get my water from. The spicy water is gonna tee off here and go into this, and that's gonna produce us our ice, which will eventually flow through pipes and go that way. I'm gonna be candid with you, I did not think this through. But we'll figure it out. Why go over the mound of snow when you can just mine straight through it? Finally got the water all connected, need to put a booster here, but then I remembered I need lava for all of these. So we need to feed those from up here. This one really just is the gift that keeps on giving. Definitely could have done that much better, but the important thing is it's all connected. And this thing seems like it's ready to go, so let's give it something. Already made a mistake, this thing is on backwards. And I forgot that it itself needs some lava, so we're gonna have to sneak in under that. I hear a good sound, things are working, so now that's gonna go into there, it's gonna give us water that's gonna feed down and make the conveyor go. So these things do seem to be working at this depth, so that feels good. We're gonna put a lot of materials up. We're also gonna need a centering thing. We're probably going to need a lot of things, including a faster conveyor. I added 3 glowy bars here that are gonna make these guys hopefully produce a little more, but those conveyors definitely need more speed. It's so slow. It's so painfully slow. I let things run for a few minutes to see what we'd come back to, and it turns out the farther along the conveyors you go, the slower they get, so everything is backing up there. Luckily, I know where to steal a booster. And several Harry Potters later, and we have 4 boosters. I would say by the way the game is lagging suddenly that the conveyors are moving quick and things are getting processed up top. We went from normal frames per second to 1 frame every 5 seconds. 10 minutes later, I managed to get the game to catch up with itself and stopped everything. Because our materials suspiciously only seem to make it as far as here, which makes me think we might have a backwards conveyor. I've tried to remove this one and I think I broke the game. There's a million materials sitting on top of it. Okay, I had to make the terrible sacrifice of removing all the ice chunks from the world, but things should start rolling along a lot better now. For at least about 30 seconds until I make my next decision and do something horribly stupid. And it's finally raining materials. Decent sized materials at that, so we just need some of the red stuff to fall down and then we'll be in business. That didn't take long at all. Perfect. We're finding this much faster than I thought we would, and I'm going to store all the corstone in here where it's nice and safe. And it's also a good opportunity for me to go like that and I can just multiply the bars now. And if I stand over here, we can do it nice and quick. Now we should have all the corstone we could ever need. There's probably 10 million pounds. And we're finding about 60% more cloudium than I thought we would be finding already, so that bodes well for what lurks down below. But this is going well so far. I'll let this pile up for a bit. And there we are, a tiny mountain of ore. After all this work, I can finally take what I need. And I can't believe how long it took us to get here. But I just couldn't live with myself if we kept a pile of gold this small. All resources gone. We've got big boy dreams today. And we're going to use big boy numbers to do it. Tier 3 shop. And hello beautiful. And we also need to start creating our own tools, which is going to take a minute because instead of buying them from the shop, we need to drive all the way up there. But what else am I going to do with my time? Have happy, fulfilled relationships? So to build a tier 3 pick, we need 120 cloudium, 370 corestone. By that they probably mean a couple 100,000. One dramatic nightmare later, and we have an advanced ice pick. And it's only now that I realize I probably should have brought the designs for drills and mulchers too, because now I have to drive all the way back to the store and then all the way back up here. I carry around 4,000 tons of garbage in my truck, but never the things I actually need. Though I do now notice that the tier 2 shop, the lava drill has a 1-star output size bonus. The other one had much bigger size. But I'm pretty sure I can make even better again with a little forging ingenuity. But just in case I screw that up, there's a 2-star output size bonus. Now that I brought my 3 friends to the top of the volcano, we've got something else to find. These. Probably lots and lots of these, because these actually make my smithing better. And the best part is, to carry the giant acorn, I need to go all the way back to the island to grab a truck so I can haul these around. Do you think it's big enough? Gonna go ahead and call this one the compensator. At least it's a little easier to take shortcuts. Now it's just a matter of using this magical beast and getting the big acorn on board. Then we drive all the way over here and leave them on the furnace. Now I was fully prepared to drive around and find each and every one of these on the map, but then I realized I can just Harry Potter them to duplicate them and they'll produce their stats once they're melted. I wasn't really sure which ones are going to have good stats, so we just went with the numbers option. So as the ones on the bottom shrink and turn into what we need them to, the ones on the top will slowly shrink down and start melting themselves. So I'll come back in like an hour and we'll collect these things. Well, it worked better than most of my ideas do. Well, that's a bucket of fun if I've ever seen one. So my understanding is that if I add a few balls and then forage, it could potentially enhance the stats of whatever it is I'm making. This has +1 dig size bonus, so it's garbage. So it should only take a few thousand tries before we find one that's 6 stars. 100 million forges later and I have a 6-star, 3 speed, 3 dig size. So now to repeat that very painful process with 3 more items. We got a 6-star heavy lava harvester. I think that's gonna make us some resources. But I also need to bring my heavy truck up here to pick this thing up. Which means going down to grab it from there, driving it all the way around the volcano and then up the volcano. Lucky for me, I found a shortcut. First monstrosity loaded up, now we need to make another. 45 years later, 6-star drill. And fortunately for me, the lava intake booster hook, which is very expensive, has no stars, so I can just use whatever I make. First things first. A garbage tier pickaxe mines this quickly and this little. A basic tier 3 pickaxe mines considerably quicker and bigger. And the mega pickaxe does much bigger, much quicker. We could definitely actually move some dirt with this one really quick. So we'll make sure we always have a few of these around. But now I think it's time we jumbo fire a mine. My lava thar is set to maximum power, so we're going straight to the bottom. This is a place we're familiar with. So the next challenge is going to be getting this thing down to the bottom. But I think I've got a pretty good idea how to do that. We just need a few nuclear-sized explosions. Luckily, if you put these all together, they will set each other off and make a really big explosion. We're only now down to tier 2? Look how big the explosion was. Maybe the flamethrower is faster. Many hours later, I think I finally got this to where I actually want it. So we're going to lower that thing all the way down into the hole and forget it exists for a while. But I also need to carefully find a way to duplicate this so we get more in a row without having to maneuver them too much. Now that I got my alignment, I can see we're going to need a lot more room. All it takes is a whole bunch of well-placed nukes. I just really hope they don't blow up my rare drills. Now we just gotta do sort of a ridiculous fishing game, and I didn't want that to come all the way up. Well, I somehow managed to get 2 properly placed. Now we just need another 8. Yup, this is going well. I finally got the 8th drill in place, and boy isn't that a lot of fun. I was just thinking how I'd rather lay in a pool of lava than do that again, when I realized that from this one forward they all turned 90 degrees, so I've got to hook onto each and every one of these and move them. That's okay, what's a few more hours? And the best part is, once I make them fly, I need to set them down very gently in a very little spot, otherwise they get all caught up. And they do fun things like that. This is so much fun. At least most of what we need is already in place, we just gotta build up to it one more time. Wouldn't want to forget to juice these guys up. I've got the water all plumbed in up to the conveyors. I still need to build the conveyors up to there and set up the mulcher up top. All while trying not to think about how many hours this is taking. I officially have everything plumbed up to layer 2. We just gotta figure out the end of the conveyor belt. These are definitely hard to see, but I've got 4 lava hooks on there, all increasing pressure by 30%, so that's at least 120% going that way. The mulcher might actually be pretty easy, because we can just set it anywhere and bring the conveyor to it. We're getting so close to our mountain of gold now. And finally, the conveyor goes all the way to the very hungry caterpillar. The last thing I think I might need is more water in here. And I know just the thing to get us lots of water. 1 more of these things. Then I just gotta reel up another one of these things. And bury it half under the ground for some reason. But that doesn't matter because we now have the super pickaxe, so we can move any amount of dirt we need to. I guess I'm gonna need a pretty big hole if I want to fit one of those big things right below it. Since I've already spent 45 hours doing this, might as well do just a few more. Instead of driving the truck around to grab this thing, I'm just going to keep going like this and teleport them over. Alright, this little setup will hopefully serve all of our water needs forever. I finally just realized now also how big my operation is. There's all sorts of things going everywhere, so hopefully it works. The only way to know for sure is to plug this in and turn it on. Everything should officially be moving. These had me worried for a second because they weren't yet spitting anything out. I've just got to turn them on. Those seem like really big pieces of ice. So far so good, there's only been minor hiccups. We're finally about to find out what these guys can spit out. In go the materials, out comes an absolute ton of all sorts of materials, and it's huge. And it's already backing up because I didn't really do anything with this. But that's fun. Also, I'm not really sure why this drill isn't working. It might have to be down below to actually work. And the next step into making a giant gold mountain is to have a place to drop it from way up here. Every step in this process really just took a long time. But I can't help but notice this conveyor is faster than that conveyor, so we definitely need more water pressure. What we don't need is more gold. We've got a lot of that on the way. And now we get to make a joke about golden showers. Yeah, we're gonna find a lot of really big resources. And they'll just rain down for hours and hours and hours, and before you know it, we'll have our mountain. I suppose the speed overall doesn't matter. The harvesters are all working at capacity to put a lot of materials up here. As long as they are making it to the very hungry caterpillar and then up to the conveyor belt, we'll get our mountain of gold. I mean, considering for how short of a time it's been, we've already found an impressive amount of resources. So we'll come back to this in 12 hours. Many hours later, the game is completely frozen. I cannot turn the camera, otherwise I will look away and never be able to find the gold pile again. But I'd say we succeeded in making a mountain of gold. The save file also takes 2 hours to load in, literally. So I guess we'll try and make a bigger one next time.